Welcome to the official YouTube channel for the Colin Cowherd podcast. Go on, hit the subscribe button. There it is, so you don't miss any of our football content this season. It has been, if I might say, fantastic. I don't worry about getting week-to-week predictions right because nobody does, right? If you can get 55% of my Blazing Five picks, I'm more than happy. And of course, I want to get my picks right. But what I do worry about and take seriously, are the big macro topics over the course of a football season. Those, I think, you can hit 80% of those if you do your homework. So I had 4 or 5 big topics coming into this football season. Number one, I said the Washington Commanders cleaning house will immediately become a playoff team. So it looks like I'm right on that. I had pretty good insight with Cliff Kingsbury, who banged the table for Jaden Daniels in the draft, and he really felt he was like a better version of Kyler Murray, and he has been. Fewer mistakes, more of a leader. And so I feel really good about that I got it right. I also predicted I thought the San Francisco 49ers had peaked and that you'll start to see flaws and limitations with Brock Purdy and the overall organization, which is very Christian McCaffrey reliant. I think I was right on that. I picked the Denver Broncos and Sean Payton to be the one team, the safest bet on the over-under scale. Vegas had him at 5.5 wins. My take is Sean Payton is going to win you a couple games, outsmarting mediocre coaches. Bo Nix with 61 college starts by at least Thanksgiving will be a real NFL quarterback, franchise quarterback. I think he is now. And frankly, the AFC's there's a lot of winnable games on the Broncos schedule, including 2 in division against the Raiders. And so I think I got that right as well. So, Denver, Washington, San Francisco, I thought I got right. I think the one I really got wrong was the Pittsburgh Steelers. I had said I thought Justin Fields would win the locker room. Now, I think I got that right. But I think one thing that is very clear, and I'm not talking about winning a Super Bowl. If you go look in the last 3 to 4 years in the NFL, the final 4 coaches are all offensive. But to win a playoff game or two, Sean McDermott can do that as a defensive coach. And I think Mike Tomlin, and we've always thought he's credible, but I think what Mike Tomlin has shown over the course of this season, and I'm wrong on this, is that I always felt he was a little tone deaf to offense. But by pivoting off Kenny Pickett, Mason Rudolph, and Justin Fields, who had a winning record, and settling on Russell Wilson, I think it shows that he is more aware than I gave him credit for. And defensive coaches can struggle with this, that he understands the urgency at quarterback. This is why I banged on Ron Rivera at Washington, who thought Sam Howell was good enough, or Pete Carroll in Seattle that thought Geno Smith was good enough. No, they're not. And I don't think Russell Wilson's good enough to win a Super Bowl, but he is better than Mason Rudolph and Kenny Pickett and Justin Fields. And I think even though they were winning, it's hard as a coach when you're winning to make changes, right? Like you're going to disrupt things. We're 4-2. I'm not going to disrupt the locker room. That takes a pair by Mike Tomlin at 4-2 to go in and say, guys, we should be 5-1. We're a better team than this. And I think the thing about Russell Wilson is that's really encouraging if you're a Steeler fan is that Russell never made a ton of mistakes. He was always elusive. He was always smart. He took the right risks. But I think Russell I think he knows now he understands sort of what he's become. And I look at the Steelers and it's sort of Seahawks light. Power run game, Marshawn Lynch is better than Najee Harris. Power run game, defensive coach, defensive culture, a couple playmakers on the outside, good pass rush, good home field environment, and a really good, tough physical culture with Seattle and Pittsburgh. Russell's not as good as he was, but he's also capable. He's a better quarterback right now than Aaron Rodgers, and I think he's as good a leader. I think he's certainly in the class close to a Kirk Cousins, who I predicted would win 12 games this year and be the number 1 seed potentially with Atlanta. So I think I was really wrong on Pittsburgh. I think Tomlin was more aware of the need for urgency on offense. I thought it took real guts to get rid of Justin Fields. Nice kid, liked in the locker room, high ceiling, but a really low floor. And so I may have Washington right so far and Denver right and San Francisco right. But I think I've been wrong on Pittsburgh, that that's a real team. And You start looking at that schedule. Well, Cleveland now stinks. Cincinnati's not very good. Baltimore's better. I think over time, Baltimore's better, but Baltimore's not very good on the defensive end. So could Pittsburgh win that division? Absolutely. I'm going to favor Baltimore, but they could win that division. You know, the very top of the AFC, Kansas City, Buffalo, Houston, Baltimore, those are very good teams. It gets real squishy in the middle and really bad on the bottom. But in the NFC, the middle of the NFC is pretty good. Arizona can beat anybody with those weapons. Minnesota can play with anybody with those weapons. The Rams, when Puka Nacua, Matt Stafford, Kyron Williams, Cooper Kupp are healthy, they can play with anybody. So the top of the AFC is really good, but Pittsburgh could very well be the best team in the middle, along with the Chargers. And that's my take, is that the Chargers and the Steelers, they're not Kansas City, Baltimore, Buffalo. But because the middle is so soft in the AFC, I think what I'm seeing is the Chargers, Harbaugh, Herbert, and the Steelers, Tomlin, Russell Wilson, look like clearly the best of the next group. And that next group should be winning playoff games. This Saturday, November 2nd, head over to Cosm to catch all the college football action. A Big Ten showdown, massive implications. Can't wait. Undefeated Penn State welcomes Ohio State to Beaver Stadium. It'll be wild. Wrap yourself in the heart-pounding action, every tackle, interception, and touchdown. Experience the game like never before in shared reality. Go to Cosm.com, grab your tickets today. It's a blast. I love going. All right, I like Ohio State this weekend to beat Penn State. What I really like is the under. Penn State quarterback Drew Aller is a game-time decision. I don't think a backup, even at home, can beat Ohio State. Now, the Buckeyes did not look great against Nebraska, but Ohio State has dominated this series. In fact, James Franklin is 1-9 against the Buckeyes. Ohio State has the second-best defense in the country. They allow 12 points a game. Yes, at Autzen against Oregon, they gave up a lot of yards, but Oregon may be the best offense and the best team in college football. The Buckeyes have only allowed more than 17 points twice in the last 2 seasons. National champions Michigan and Oregon that will vie for a national championship. Will Howard, last 3 games, he's completing 82% of his throws. I like the under. I think Ohio State's O-line's a little beat up. That'll bring down the scoring, but I'm going to take the Buckeyes to win.